So 115 days ago, I decided to take on a challenge that I had been thinking about for a couple of years, trading up from a paperclip to eventually one day have a C8 Corvette. And so for the past 115 days, I've been doing just that, making deal after deal, sending thousands of messages out to people on Facebook. And it's been quite the journey. There's been a lot of downtime, a lot of no trades for a week. It's had its ups, it's had its downs. But I'm going to take you through kind of all the trades from start to finish because it's been quite the journey. And so I'm just going to start with day one. So I had started with that paperclip and I traded the first deal ever for a CD slash radio player. It was a pretty cool thing. That was my first deal ever. So I was super excited to get that deal. And then going from there, I just had to think of like how to send out a bulk message to try and make deals. So I started out with explaining the challenge I'm doing and what I have to offer. But then further on in the challenge, I decided I thought that was kind of a little bit odd to do to explain what I'm doing because then maybe people would give me good deals just to be nice. So I started to just offer people trades or try and like get trades and stuff without explaining like, hey, I'm doing this for a challenge. Can you help me out or something? I just want to do it as by the book and realistic as possible to show that like anyone can do this with some effort and time because anyone can do this. It does take effort and it does take a lot of time put in, a lot more than I would have figured. So, like I mentioned, I traded for that CD radio player, and from there I traded that for some weightlifting belts and some clamps for a barbell. Traded that for three pairs of shoes: a pair of Crocs, Nikes, and another pair of Nikes. And then I sold those Crocs for $25, used my cash to buy a Nintendo Switch Lite, and I traded those belts, clamps, and the black Nikes for a PS3 bundle, an LG gaming monitor, a Razer keyboard, Razer mouse. So that was kind of one of my biggest initial deals. That kind of got me really excited to do this challenge, realizing like, okay, this can happen. This is going to take a lot of time. So then that Nintendo Switch Lite I still had, I traded that for a Samsung laptop, an Acer monitor, and a bundle of 5 watches. Also, as I put all of these deals, I look back through my videos, put all of these deals onto a large doc, like a big sheet. It made me realize how many deals I've done. Like, my goodness, the past 115 days, there's been a lot going on. And so getting back to that, I traded that Nintendo Switch Lite for the Samsung laptop, Acer monitor, and a bundle of 5 cheaper watches. And then I got an Apple Watch Series 6 for free. So that was still at the beginning of my challenge where I was explaining what I'm doing. So I was actually supposed to make a trade with that guy, giving him the belts and clamps, but I had already traded those. He hadn't answered me for like 2 weeks. So I thought we weren't going to make a deal. I traded the belts and clamps. He randomly reached back out to me, said he still had it and would want to make a deal. I didn't have anything he wanted, and so he just gave it to me. And so that's kind of where I was like, okay, well, if I want to make this as realistic and kind of accessible for everyone as possible, I need to be straightforward, not explaining what I'm doing and ask for handouts. So starting there, I changed that a little bit. So I had that Samsung laptop. I traded that for a Bosch gauge kit and some designer Philip Plein shoes. And so there's still a lot of items I have from the beginning of this challenge sitting in my pile over there that I've had since the early days. That's just something I realized is shoes and watches. I've had to sit on those for quite some time. And surprisingly, monitors, I've only sold one of the three I've had. And that's kind of shocking to me. I would have thought those would be more popular, but it's just the way it is. So yeah, then I had that Razer keyboard and mouse. I traded for a pair of Jordans, some Patrick Ewing basketball shoes, and a Michael Kors watch. And then I had that Apple Watch I was given, and I traded that for a Razer mouse, a Razer headset, a Razer mouse pad, and a SteelSeries keyboard. So I traded that SteelSeries keyboard and headset for an Oculus Rift Touch and an Xbox One S. This deal was definitely in my favor. I was very happy with that one. I wasn't getting a handout or anything. He didn't know exactly what I was doing beforehand, but I was super happy with that deal. Going from there, I had the Oculus Rift Touch and that Xbox I had just made a deal for, and the Michael Kors watch I got in a couple deals back. I traded that for a gaming PC, a chair, a Bose speaker, Coach wallet, Calvin Klein purse, Alexa, and a Scepter monitor. That was also one of the bigger deals I made. Turned out to be one of the more profitable ones. Was super happy with that. So the gaming chair I got in that deal, I traded for a GoPro Hero 11, which like the next day I sold for $200. So a couple of these deals involved some cash. And yeah, starting the challenge out, I was like, I'm not going to put any of my own resources into this. I just want to start from a paperclip, trade, and get to a Corvette without putting any of my own money, anything in other than time. And as some deals went on, I just realized it was a little more beneficial to sell some items, buy some items with the cash, none of my own stuff. But now getting to day 115, it's been a little bit challenging using cash, oddly, because my personal job, if you didn't know, is to buy and sell like four-wheelers, golf carts, boats, jet skis, stuff like that. So once I started getting into cash for the challenge, I started to kind of clash with my personal work, and we just bought a house, so the bills have went up, and this challenge has not been paying bills. So that has been a little bit of a challenge, clashing with my personal business. So I'm trying to get out of cash and get back to just trades. So hopefully within a couple more deals, I'll be back to just like trading items. I think that'll be beneficial for a couple of reasons. So back to the list. I then, with that GoPro money, bought an iPad 10th gen for $200. And then I had that gaming PC. I traded that for a Razer mouse, a PS5 DualSense controller, a Dell laptop, a Vince Carter jersey, a gold ring, which I wasn't sure if it was real at the time, but found out it was, an MVMT watch, and a MetaQuest 3. That was also one of the better deals I got. That gold ring I then took to a pawn shop. Who knows if that was the best idea or not, because pawn shops don't offer you the most money. I just wanted to know if it was real, and it was real, and so I got offered $150 after some negotiating and took that. And then that MetaQuest 3 that I had, I traded for an Oculus Quest 2, some Volkswagen wheels, and some BMW wheels. I still have both sets of wheels. That was early on in the challenge, and I still have both sets of those wheels. They're sitting in the garage. I don't love them sitting there, but they'll go eventually. Um, then that Oculus Quest 2, I ended up trading for a GoPro Hero 9, Oakley sunglasses, and a bike. I know this can be a little confusing, listing off all of these items, but it's kind of just to give you ideas of each trade that went down. If you want more clarification on each deal, you're more than welcome to go look at my short videos, and you can follow through the journey and you can see it exactly as it happened. So you're more than welcome to do that, but this is just to give a little more of an idea of the list. And so from there, I went to an iPad 10th gen. I traded for an Apple Watch Ultra 1. Keep in mind, I got that iPad for $200. I traded for the Apple Watch Ultra 1. And the next day, I sold that Apple Watch for $350. So I was super happy to make $150 on that. And then the Oakley sunglasses, that Bose speaker from a little while back, and $100 I gave up for an electric bike, which I was super excited for that one too. That PS5 controller I had, I sold for $105. I'm going through basically the days, the deals, so I'm kind of skipping over items and stuff and getting back to it because it's how it happened in order chronologically from when I started. And so that PS5 controller sold for $105. The GoPro Hero 9, and I gave up $225 with that for a MacBook Pro. That was a really exciting one. I thought I was going to get a whole lot more than I ended up getting out of it, but still was a good deal. That electric bike that I had, I traded for an electric skateboard, like a high-end one that was worth like $1,000. So that was pretty cool. The PS3 bundle I got pretty early on, I sold for $100 cash, less than I wanted, but you got to keep things moving to keep the challenge moving. The Scepter monitor I got with like the gaming PC and everything, I sold for $100. Also less than I thought I'd get, but it's all right. Then that electric skateboard that I just got a little bit ago that I said was worth about $1,000. I traded for a cheaper version, same brand and everything, a cheaper version of that. And then a lot of other items like a grill, a go-kart that did not work, an Insta360 camera, a cheap drone, a TV remote, a PS4 Pro, a Backbone phone controller, an Alexa, and Beats Solo. It was kind of a huge bundle deal, but was very happy with it. And so then the next day I actually sold that go-kart for $300. It was kind of a roller. It needed some work. But got $300 out of that, and the PS4 Pro I got $160 for the next day. This is kind of when I started to build up a cash fund. I was looking to buy a four-wheeler, mostly a four-wheeler, maybe a dirt bike, something like that. And so just keep following along and you'll see what happened. And so then that grill I then sold for $120. I think the next day, the Insta360 camera from that deal, I traded for a jet ski and a wakeboard. And then I sold the Beats from that deal for $60. And that cheaper electric skateboard, I traded for two cheaper longboards. They were pretty cool still. A Traxxas RC truck that I still have, and it goes about 40 miles an hour. It's pretty cool. A Ryobi drill and a fishing reel. And then that Bosch triple gauge kit I got a while back with the shoes, I sold that for $12. It was quite an odd offer from the guy, but I took it because I figured he'd offer me 10, so I took 12. I sold the fishing reel for 75 bucks, which I was happy with that. I sold the Ryobi drill and the wakeboard for $200. And then I sold the Alexa for $15. I had a couple of Alexas along the challenge, so I sold one for $15. I bought that golf cart, which was one of the biggest deals I made. I bought it for $1,000, and either a day or two later, I ended up selling that golf cart for $1,500. That was pretty awesome. I sold the MacBook Pro for $450. I sold that bicycle for $100, and I sold a jet ski for $400, and then I sold another Alexa for $10. And I bought that Kawasaki KX450. I was super excited for 2,000 bucks. And so I'm looking to trade that. Like I mentioned, I want to get back to more just trading. So I have $955 to go with that Kawasaki bike that I'm looking with all my items just to kind of put towards a bigger item. And so then today I actually sold a Backbone controller on shipping it to like Orlando. Sold a headset on eBay and a Coach wallet on eBay. Those were the first eBay sales, and I'm not super happy with eBay after doing the deals, realizing how much you lose in fees, shipping, and everything, and how it's just not nearly as profitable as it should be. So I probably won't continue to sell on eBay unless I have to. But I got $71.49 out of all of that. So, like I mentioned, I've got that Kawasaki bike. I've got $955, and then I've got 2 monitors. I've got 4 pairs of shoes, 6 watches, and then a bunch of miscellaneous little items. I've got the longboards, the Traxxas RC truck, kind of a bundle of items. But I'm currently sitting around the $5,000 value mark, which is pretty exciting after 115 days. I would have thought I'd be a little further along in the challenge, but after buying a house, getting married, just different things, it takes a lot of time. So day 115, I'm at about $5,000 mark. I need to get up to about $60,000 mark. Hopefully we're going to exponentially just grow each day in our deals. I don't want this to have to take a couple years. I'm hoping to do it within a year. It started off where I would have liked to do it within 6 months, but now I'm thinking under a year would be pretty impressive, pretty awesome. So stay tuned. This was just kind of a little sight in on the deals I've been doing. There's definitely been some odd deals, some interesting things, because whenever you deal with Facebook people like I do on the daily with both my personal business and the challenge, you run into some interesting people, to say the least. And so if you've ever sold an item on Facebook, just you're trying to get rid of something, you probably know what I mean. All the spam messages you get, or the people that just ask if it's available, you say yes, they don't respond. It's just, and it's an interesting market to deal with. And so thank you for watching this video. I hope to make some more coming up soon. But just stay tuned for the challenge because I want to get to that C8 Corvette. Okay, if you stayed till the end of the video, first of all, thank you so much for letting me entertain for a little bit. Um, I would love to hear your opinions on video recommendations. Like if there's any kind of video you guys would like to see, anything specific, whether has to do with the challenge or my personal flipping, I'm willing to make any kind of video. Just if you don't mind putting your request in the comments. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and comment what your recommendation is, your opinion on the next video. I would really appreciate that. It could just help me grow a little bit. So thank you for staying tuned.